It's an Australian staple, the humble meat pie. At Adelaide Bakery Villies, 50,000 of them roll off the production line each day.
The bakery runs 24 hours a day, so 5.5 days a week. On a national scale, we're probably the third biggest in Australia with the volume that we produce.
But for the family-owned business, which has 350 staff, it's getting harder to make ends meet amid soaring electricity costs.
We come out of our energy contract in January 2025. We've gone to a number of brokers to scope out the market and see where energy prices are sitting. Currently it's looking like a 22% increase. So in our terms, that equates to over $100,000 a year.
That would take the company's power bill to $600,000 annually.
There you go. Thank you.
Despite a cost of living crisis, Villies says it has no choice but to pass on a rise of 25 cents to customers to cover increased power and labour costs.
$12.35, thank you. On the card today.
Nobody likes to increase their prices, we certainly don't take our customers for granted. We understand that everybody's doing it tough, but as a business, if you're not passing your increased costs on to your customers, you're not going to have a business.
Ines Willocks from the Australian Industry Group says the wholesale electricity market is up and down, causing pain for businesses nationwide.
Wholesale prices are essentially the market that business operates. Depends on your market, depends on your state, it depends on your sector, it depends on what time of day or night you're operating. There's no consistency within that wholesale price that businesses are having to work through.
The Australian Energy Market Operator says in the June quarter, wholesale prices averaged 23% higher than the same period last year. Major generation outages and transmission line works saw extreme price volatility in New South Wales. Low wind speeds and rainfall led to increases in prices in South Australia, Tasmania and Victoria, but they fell in Queensland. Since then, AEMO says prices have dropped to an average $45 last month because of increased renewables output.
Australia used to be historically very cheap when it came to energy. That was one of our great competitive advantages, and we've lost that advantage. And while energy prices have moderated a little bit since 2022, they're nowhere down near the levels that they have been historically.
Golden North Ice Cream is based in Laura, South Australia, which is 2.5 hours north of Adelaide. We've been here making ice cream since 1923 and are a major employer in the area.
When you're in the business of keeping products cool, electricity bills run hot. Golden North negotiated its new electricity contract in January, but the cheapest deal it could get resulted in an almost 50% increase in its power bills.
We use about 2 million kilowatt hours a year, which compared to an average house is about 260 times what a normal household would use. So that increase a year is worth $197,000 a year. So our power's gone up from just over $400,000 to just over $600,000 a year.
Golden North is also family-owned, but unlike Villies Bakery, Rick says the company can't afford to pass on costs to customers.
The ice cream market in Australia is very competitive. Obviously, we're working against bigger companies than us, so we can't put our price up to then lose business, so we've had to absorb that cost to remain competitive.
Rick says the company would like to invest in solar, but the outlay is prohibitive. He says ingredients, distribution and labour costs have also risen.
It is always challenging, especially being based out in the regions. There's a lot of costs associated with freight to get our product or raw material here to then ship our product to Adelaide and out to the eastern seaboard.
Rick hopes electricity prices will fall in the future, But the energy market operator has warned there could be a gas shortage as early as 2028. The Federal Industry Minister says his government has put a price cap on gas to secure more supply at reasonable prices.
We know that there will be some people that welcome that. There will be some businesses that will say we can do more. We certainly appreciate the size of the challenge and understand certainly the pressures that businesses have been going under, and we want to work with them to alleviate those pressures.
While the coalition is proposing an energy mix of nuclear, gas and renewables, the Albanese government is investing $20 billion to modernise infrastructure, with the target of more than doubling the share of renewables in the grid to 82% by 2030. Modelling commissioned by the Labor Party claims that would cut wholesale electricity prices by 26%.
We are deliberately working very hard to bring in new sources of energy, renewable energy that will be a cheaper form of energy for both businesses and consumers.
There have been very few approvals, very few, less than a handful of approvals of renewable energy projects over the past year or so. And that tells us that we're going to have a very hard time meeting that 2030 target.
At Villiers Bakery, Peter Utry remains on the hunt for the best contract. But whatever deal he takes, the business will be facing thousands more in electricity costs each month.
The power pricing and the power supply is out of our control. That's what the government's in place for. To control the environment so that businesses have got an environment which is stable and that they can thrive in that environment.
Local businesses are part of the community. They provide the jobs, they provide the economic support for the community. If we start losing local businesses that are energy reliant, we lose the heart and soul of the community that we live in.